So I can't say I'm surprised. It's just really, really sad. But apparently, according to some data analytics out there, Star Wars has lost 85% of its audience since the Disney era, since Disney acquired, Lucasfilm and Star Wars. And that's just sad. But let's pick it up here from the Cosmic Book. This is an article, and we'll pick it up here. It says, here's the number that should keep someone at Lucasfilm up at night. 85%. That's roughly how much of its theatrical audience Star Wars has shed between its Disney era box office peak and its newest big screen entry. That's crazy, right? You don't need a galaxy brain to see it. You need a calculator. In December 2015, Star Wars The Force Awakens detonated to the tune of $2 billion worldwide per Box Office Mojo. The kind of cultural event run that made Disney's $4 billion Lucasfilm purchase look like a steal. 10 plus years later, The Mandalorian and Grogu is grinding towards roughly 316 million worldwide counting. That's crazy too, because if you saw my review, I don't think The Mandalorian and Grogu is a bad movie. Does it do anything fresh? No. Does it, I guess you can say, quote unquote, it plays it safe, right? But it does kind of further along the character of Grogu, especially, where he's not so helpless. Again, go watch my review of it. But people were just tearing it to shreds. And I actually think it's a little overkill, right? The criticism of it. Because in comparison to the garbage that we've been getting, especially the Star Wars shows, right, on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian and Grogu was like a breath of fresh air. Like, yeah, you played it safe, but it wasn't like overall terrible. There are certain things that, yes, you can nitpick about it. Like, people want to make a big deal of Sigourney Weaver, being in this position of authority, kind of like over the Mandalorian. But she doesn't play it that way. It's not played and it's not acted, and the dialogue isn't there for her character to belittle the Mandalorian. Like, not at all. She's just the person that the Mandalorian is reporting to do his bounty work. It's nothing really more than that. There's nothing degrading that she does towards the Mandalorian. But people were hating on it because, again, it's just a woman. But again, I understand that because of what Disney has been shoving down our throats, through their movies, through their shows, where it's just, what is it? Kathleen Kennedy said it, the Force is female, right? It's just like, okay, well, that's going to be a hard sell when a majority of your audience is male. And you're trying to be like, the Force is female. It's just not a smart business decision, guys. Right? But here we go. We'll keep going. So it says, run the math. That's about 85% decline. So from $2 billion that The Force Awakens did to now 316 million that Mando and Grogu are doing. So that's about an 85% decline. Put bluntly, you can make the argument that Star Wars has lost 85% of its audience. Likewise, Nielsen data has also shown a drop of over 70% in viewership from the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. Yeah, because they've been terrible. Other than Andor and the first couple of seasons of The Mandalorian and Grogu, I think pretty much everything else has just been terrible outside of like the animation stuff, right? Those have been like great. But again, statistics show that the animation stuff, as amazing as it is, it's not being watched in comparison to the live action. And the live action shows aren't being watched in comparison to the movie. So that's the whole trickle down effect there. So it continues, right? The first defense is obvious. Lucasfilm defenders will say that the comparison isn't fair. The Force Awakens was a saga film, a return after a decade, and the launch of a numbered trilogy built around Luke, Han, and Leia. True. And The Mandalorian and Grogu is a spin-off from a Disney Plus show. So of course it made less. Except that excuse already has a name, and the name is Rogue One. Rogue One was a spin-off too. No episode number, no Skywalkers headlining, a side story about stealing the Death Star plans, starring characters most general audiences had never heard of, and it made over $1 billion. I didn't even know that. I know it was a success. I didn't know that Rogue One made over $1 billion. That's crazy. It goes on and makes some other good points there. I'll link the article for anybody who wants to read it. But yeah, it's a sad day. It's a sad day for Star Wars fans, you know, for the brand. I mean, we're clearly at an all-time low. And it sucks because as a dad who has sons, right? And they're not old enough to fully like comprehend a lot of the things, but we watch a little bit of like, you know, they understand like what a Jedi is, a little lightsaber. They get that. But as someone who's like was so looking forward to like sitting my kids down and watching these movies, it's like, yeah, we'll do that, but eventually it has to come to a point where then I have to like explain certain things. I have to be like, hey, these next couple films and shows that we're going to see, this is when Disney took over, and Disney wanted to make some very questionable decisions that ultimately led to a very bad time period for Star Wars. And the truth is that I don't know if there's any goodwill that we can make a comeback. Like, I really don't. I don't see it. I think a lot is riding on this Ryan Gosling movie. And if all the rumors are true, for what I've been hearing about it, it's still going to be connected to Disney's trilogy. And I think people just don't really care for that. I actually think the only way to actually turn the corner is for Disney to sell Star Wars. And they're not going to do that. And so I think this is just, it is going to be what it is. Like, it's not, they would have to do something so drastic, so jarring, that it will like literally shake the foundations of the whole Star Wars universe fandom. And I don't even think Disney is creatively capable of doing something like that. Marvel's trying, but what is Marvel doing? Marvel is just, let's just throw as many of the Avengers and let's bring back the Avengers. Let's, the old ones that we thought were dead or have retired. Let's bring them back. Let's bring the X-Men. Let's throw as much stuff as we can into Doomsday to get people back on board, right? Let's bring Robert Downey Jr. out of retirement and give him the role of one of the most iconic villains in all of Marvel lore and history. That's what Marvel is banking on to turn things around for their universe. And let's just throw a hypothetical here. If that doesn't work, right? If throwing all that stuff in there and everything, if that doesn't work, to me, that means Star Wars could do nothing with Star Wars. They won't be able to do anything with it. The only way that Star Wars would be able to get back to where it is if they completely sold it off to someone else, and then all the fans will come back and at least be like, okay, let's see what you will do with the product now. We were done with the Disney era. We're done with what they were doing. Bunch of nonsense. Let's see now what you do. Those are my opinions. If MCU can't even bring people back with this crazy Doomsday, right? All these characters if MCU can't even turn the corner with that, Disney's got nothing for Star Wars other than to sell it off. They will never, ever achieve the peakness that they once have. So we'll see what happens from there. But those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Go ahead and give us a like. Subscribe if you haven't. We're a growing channel. We got a lot of things that we want to do. And so we appreciate the love. God bless.